On the day of the college entrance exam, my sister used dark magic to steal my brain, becoming the top scorer. I, on the other hand, became a fool, only able to cower in a small diner, working for a living. One late night, while working overtime, I was hit by a truck and died. Then, I was reborn. I returned to 1 year before my brain was stolen by my sister. In a rundown diner, I bowed my head, endlessly scrubbing a greasy table with a rag, but it never came clean. On the TV, news was broadcasting about Nancy making it into an international film festival. On the big screen, she was dazzling and radiant, a stark contrast to this old, worn-out diner. My colleagues buzzed with chatter. Tell me, how can there be someone as outstanding as Nancy in this world? Not only was she the top scorer in the college entrance exam, but she's also beautiful and her acting isn't bad. They then looked at me. Sue, you used to be adopted by the Chen family, right? You're Nancy's older sister, so why are you working in this small diner? I lowered my eyes, not answering. Another colleague, a fan of Nancy, scoffed, "Why else? This idiot stole Mrs. Chen's jewelry and was kicked out of the house." As soon as the words left his mouth, the other's gazes shifted to me, becoming strange. I lowered my head, denying, I didn't. The newspapers wrote it very clearly that year. Can the Chen family lie? I really don't understand why the boss hired a scoundrel like you. What bad luck. With that, he dumped a bucket of dirty water onto the floor I had just cleaned, making it instantly filthy again. Time's up, let's go home, leave Sue to clean up alone. Knowing I was accused of being a thief, no one helped me. They left one by one, leaving me alone. I sat down, looking at the mess on the floor. Through a puddle of dirty water, I saw my own face, gaunt and swollen. I didn't understand how I had ended up like this. My life had spiraled out of control after the college entrance exam. I had always been an excellent student, always ranking first in my class. But on the day of the exam, I suddenly became a fool, scoring the lowest in the school. Meanwhile, my sister Nancy, who was an average student, performed exceptionally and became the top scorer. Misfortunes kept piling up. My adoptive parents, who had once loved me dearly, falsely accused me of stealing their jewelry and kicked me out of the house. A fool like me, with no skills, could only do odd jobs in a diner to make a living. After cleaning the diner, it was past midnight. I dragged my tired body back to my cramped, stuffy rented room. Suddenly, a truck swerved directly towards me, hitting me and sending me flying. And so, I died on a cold night, silently, with no one knowing. After my death, my soul drifted beside Nancy. Gradually, I learned the truth about that year's college entrance exam. The Chen family possessed an ancestral jade pendant. Each family member could use it once to steal another's fortune or luck. If this fortune materialized, it could be wealth, intelligence, or beauty. Years ago, Mr. Chen, my adoptive father, used the jade pendant to steal his own fortune, his wealth. Nancy, on the other hand, chose to steal my brain. Of course, it wasn't as simple as just wanting it. There was a prerequisite. The person whose fortune was being stolen had to willingly offer it. On the day of the college entrance exam, Nancy said to me, "Sister, I really admire how smart you are. I wish I had half your intelligence. Sister, would you be willing to give me your smart brain?" I laughed while drinking milk. "It's not something you can just give even if you want to." Nancy hugged my arm, pouting. "You just need to answer yes or no, that's all." Without a second thought, I replied, "Yes." I was an orphan, grown up in an orphanage. It was the Chen family who adopted me, gave me food and clothes, and even hired tutors, being stricter with me than with Nancy. At that time, I trusted the Chen family absolutely. I considered them my own flesh and blood. My adoptive parents had been worried about Nancy's studies for years. If I could, I hoped Nancy could study a little better, so my adoptive parents would have less to worry about. After that, Nancy smoothly stole my intelligent brain, becoming the top scorer in the college entrance exam. Based on that intelligence, she possessed exceptional comprehension abilities and eventually won the title of International Film Empress. As for me, I became a fool. When I was no longer useful, the Chen family falsely accused me of being a thief and kicked me out of the house. People cursed me as an ingrate, and I could only work odd jobs in a small diner. In the end, I froze to death on the streets, with no one caring. Frustration and resentment overwhelmed me. If only fate could grant me another chance, I would definitely refuse Nancy and forge my own path. When I opened my eyes again, I had truly returned to my senior year of high school, the year before my brain was stolen. In the living room, Mrs. Chen smiled brightly at me. Sue, you ranked first in the entire school this time, but your literature score dropped. I saw that a lot of points were deducted from your essay. She introduced the middle-aged man with black-rimmed glasses sitting beside her. This is Mr. Li. He's excellent at teaching essay writing. From today, you'll have extra lessons with him. Nancy pouted, acting spoiled. Mom, why do you care so much about sister? Who's your real daughter here? Mrs. Chen nonchalantly replied. Because you're lazy to study. If you were willing to study, I could hire 10 or even 8 tutors for you. Nancy let out a soft HMPH and then hugged my arm, her voice sweet. Sister, Mom and Dad are so good to you. They adopted you, treated you like their own daughter, and even hired tutors for you to study. You must study hard and not disappoint Mom and Dad, okay? In my previous life, I was truly grateful for my adoptive mother's concern. Because of that, I studied day and night with all my might, hoping to achieve good results and make her happy. As for Nancy, she was busy partying with friends, going shopping, watching movies, and enjoying a free life. When her adoptive parents advised her to study, she laughed and said, "It's enough that our family has one bookworm, Sue." My adoptive parents just smiled helplessly and said nothing more. At that time, I thought they were just doting on their biological daughter, so I sincerely advised Nancy to study hard. But now, I understood everything. The Chen family was not good to me at all. They only wanted what was best for Nancy. They knew Nancy couldn't endure hardship, so they pushed me to study intensely until the night before the college entrance exam, only then letting her steal my intelligent brain. At this moment, Mr. Li reached out his hand towards me, smiling politely. Hello, you're Sue, Mrs. Chen's daughter, right? Indeed, you're as well behaved as your mother said. I stared at the mole next to his mouth, disgustedly frowning, then quietly lowered my eyes. In my previous life, after I failed the college exam and was falsely accused of being a thief by the Chen family, and cursed by society as an ingrate, my teachers and friends were still very kind to me. They believed there was something fishy about the whole situation. My teacher, in particular, was very regretful that I didn't get into university and even advised me to retake the exam. It was at this very moment that Mr. Li unexpectedly came forward to falsely accuse me, claiming I was morally depraved and had tried to seduce him. He even pretended to be righteous, saying, "Luckily, I have strong willpower, so I wasn't lured by this girl." Afterwards, he sanctimoniously criticized me for being unrepentant and angrily smashed my head with a vase. What was the truth? Every time he tutored me, he would touch me inappropriately. I told my adoptive mother, but she just said he was excellent at teaching literature, and I should just endure it a little. I couldn't stand it. I picked up a nearby vase and smashed it directly onto his head. But the truth no longer mattered. What mattered was what public opinion believed. When my adoptive mother confirmed his story, the public immediately sided with Mr. Li. The teachers and friends who once believed in me were now only left with disappointment. It could be said that Mr. Li was the final straw that crushed my life. Mrs. Chen urged, "Sue, Mr. Li is shaking your hand?" I looked at his fat, pudgy hand and coldly turned my face away. "Mom, I'm tired. I'm going to my room to rest first. We can discuss the tutoring tomorrow." Seeing the dark circles under my eyes, Mrs. Chen nodded. "All right, rest today." I was truly exhausted. In my previous life, to please my adoptive parents, I studied nonstop, sleeping only 5 hours a day. Even when eating, showering, or even in the restroom, I never forgot to squeeze in time to study vocabulary. But in reality, I didn't need to try that hard. With my academic performance, I could easily score enough to get into a top university. Yet, my adoptive parents were still not satisfied. They demanded I achieve near-perfect scores in all subjects. Even though their strictness was unreasonable, I tried my best to please them. They treated me so well, I felt I could only repay them with good grades. But I never imagined that this repayment would destroy my entire future. I stood upstairs, watching Mrs. Chen and Mr. Li happily chatting, and quietly lowered my eyes. In this life, I would absolutely not let them destroy my future again. The next day, Mr. Li arrived for the tutoring session right on time. Before he arrived, I secretly started a study live stream. Soon, many people entered the live stream room. "Isn't this the study god, Sue? Look, the wall is full of certificates. So cool. Let's see how the study god studies." My kid is terrible at studying. I'll tell them to come watch the study god. The number of viewers steadily increased. At this moment, Mr. Lee also arrived for the tutoring. Oh, so even a study god needs tutoring? This teacher is a famous literature teacher. He's super good. So are we like auditing the class for free? Haha. Initially, Mr. Lee taught very seriously, but when he lectured on essay writing skills, he gradually stood closer to me. His chest pressed against my back, his foul breath blowing onto my nose. His fat, pudgy hand grabbed my hand that was holding the pen. I tried to pull my hand away but couldn't. I lowered my eyes, my voice cold. "Sir, don't do that." Mr. Lee chuckled, the layers of fat on his face jiggling with each word. "Sue, I like you, that's why I'm doing this." At this moment, the live stream room immediately exploded. Damn, this is clearly sexual harassment. What kind of famous teacher? This guy is scum. My hands are itching, I want to punch him in the face. Forget studying, let's drag Mr. Lee out and deal with him. I stood up, speaking each word clearly. "But I don't like you." Mr. Lee still smiled, his tone disgusting. "That's because you don't understand me yet, come on." With that, he lunged forward, trying to hug me. I started to resist. During the struggle, books on the shelf scattered to the floor. A thick dictionary fell and hit Mr. Lee's head, causing a huge bump. "Damn it, you dare hit me?" Mr. Lee's face twisted, becoming terrifying. I recoiled in fear, my face pale. "I didn't mean to. You touched me first, that's why I struggled." Mr. Lee sneered. "Children can talk nonsense. But if you say these words, you'll have to take responsibility. Try to guess. If I tell your adoptive parents that you refused to study and deliberately tried to seduce me, who will they believe? A renowned teacher like me, or an orphan like you who was never properly raised?" My body trembled uncontrollably from his threats. Seeing my fear, he pressed on. "If I'm not mistaken, you're just an adopted child of the Chen family, right? If they knew you weren't so well behaved, would they kick you out of the house?" I bit my lip, my voice trembling. "That's not true," Mr. Lee chuckled dryly. "The truth doesn't matter. What matters is what others believe. One is a famous master, one is an orphan nobody wants. Who do you think they'll side with? You're smart, you must understand this. So just be obedient and listen to me." As he spoke, he reached out again, intending to hug me. In my previous life, he also used these words to threaten me. He was convinced that since I was an adopted child of the Chen family and timid by nature, I wouldn't dare cause trouble and upset them. In that life, I didn't yield. I still reported his harassment to my adoptive parents, but they just told me to endure it. Later, when I couldn't take it anymore and smashed his head with a vase, by the time I became a fool, he had retaliated by falsely accusing me of being promiscuous, becoming the final straw that crushed my life. In this life, I glanced at Mr. Lee. I wanted to make him utterly ruined to experience what I had endured. "Don't do that." I pretended to resist, making the struggle conspicuous enough to attract my adoptive mother's attention. She walked into the room. "What's going on?" The audience in the live stream immediately recognized her. "This is Mrs. Chen, the wife of the CEO of Chen Group. She's famous for her kindness and adopted Sue. She's here. Looks like someone's done for." "It's getting cold, scum should shiver. Mr. Lee, get out of the education industry." Mr. Lee's face turned ashen. He secretly signaled me to not speak nonsense, but I calmly recounted the entire incident to my adoptive mother. She looked at Mr. Lee. "Sir, do you have anything to explain?" Mr. Lee remained very calm. "It's just a misunderstanding. When I saw Sue, I was reminded of my own little daughter, so my actions were a bit too affectionate." My adoptive mother pondered for a moment, then said, "If it's a misunderstanding, then Sue, apologize to Mr. Lee. He only sees you as a daughter and you shouldn't have hit him." "But he just now..." My adoptive mother frowned unhappily, cutting me off. "Sue, you're always so understanding. Don't be stubborn about these things anymore. Do you know how good Mr. Lee is at teaching literature? We spent so much money just to invite him to tutor you." The live stream room immediately filled with question marks. Hold on, Sue was the one harassed. Why is this woman making her apologize? Is she brain damaged? She must have been tricked by Mr. Lee. No way, she knows everything, she's just pretending. I stared at my adoptive mother, asking seriously, if today Nancy was the one touched by Mr. Lee, would you also make her apologize? Her face immediately changed. How can you compare yourself to Nancy? At that very moment, the live stream room exploded. Damn, so this woman knows everything and is just pretending to be ignorant, disgusting double standards. Suddenly feeling nauseous, almost threw up my lunch. Mr. Lee curled his lips into a contemptuous smile, as if to say, "You've been in the Chen family's house for too long. Do you really think you're their biological child?" My adoptive mother looked at me with a warning gaze, as if she wanted to devour me whole, forcing me to bow my head and compromise. But they didn't know that I had turned on the live stream, broadcasting their true faces to the whole world. I let out a cold laugh, my eyes filled with disappointment. I understand. Without waiting for them to say more, I covered my face and ran out of the room. Not long after, netizens cut the live stream into 2 video clips. Famous literature teacher turns out to be a pervert, and Mrs. Chen, renowned businesswoman, covers up harassment of adopted daughter. The 2 videos, once uploaded, immediately soared to the top of the search rankings. Mr. Lee was originally a literature teacher specializing in college entrance exam preparation, frequently live streaming his lessons and enjoying a very high reputation online. But when people saw a 50-year-old man, old enough to be my grandfather, not only touching a female student but also threatening her, then twisting facts in front of her adoptive mother, everyone was utterly furious. The comment section on his social media account was flooded with curses. "Pervert, weren't you very arrogant when bullying the student? Why are you so quiet now? Damn it," apologized to Sue immediately. Thought he was a good teacher, who knew he was a beast in human skin. "Tell me his address. I'll go there myself and break his arms. Take me with you, I specialize in dealing with scum like this." Mr. Lee deliberately remained silent, but when students started demanding refunds, he panicked and immediately started a live stream to clarify. As soon as he appeared, the comments exploded. "Oh, he hasn't hanged himself yet. You're overestimating him. If he had any shame, he wouldn't have done these disgusting things. Only daring to speak up now? I thought he was blind and deaf forever. Probably ran out of ways to make money, so he's showing his face again. Everyone remember to demand refunds. If not, keep your receipts and sue him." Mr. Lee scrolled through the comments, his face flushed, wiping sweat from his forehead as he hurriedly tried to explain. "Everyone, listen to me. This is just a misunderstanding, a misunderstanding. Are you going to say that the study god seduced you? We saw with our own eyes you harassing her. Sue was even disgusted by you. Thank goodness she live-streamed. Otherwise, with your cunning mouth, we would surely have been fooled. I remembered in my previous life, it was this very man who falsely accused me of seducing him. Social media at the time was filled with insults for me. Vixen, bad omen, filthy slut. But in this life, thanks to the live stream, his true face was exposed. This time, it was his turn to be judged by the entire online community, to experience what I had endured. This was the karma he deserved. I looked at his pale, panicked face and subtly curled my lips into a smile. Netizens continued to mock him. "Don't you dare say you have a mental illness, okay? Or are you going to claim you were possessed by a ghost? Even a 3-year-old wouldn't believe that kind of excuse." Mr. Lee glanced around, sighed, and then suddenly pulled out a piece of paper. "Actually, I truly have a mental illness. This is my mental health diagnosis." The livestream room erupted again. "What? Does he think we're all idiots? Does he think we're as stupid as Mrs. Chen?" "Mrs. Chen isn't stupid. She just knows everything but pretends to be ignorant. Get out, you bastard. This guy's character is terrible. His education center might even be evading taxes. Everyone, dig deeper into this." Mr. Lee saw that no matter how he explained, netizens didn't believe him. He knew his reputation had completely collapsed. But when he saw someone suspecting him of tax evasion, his face grew even paler. "I am a law-abiding citizen. Don't slander me." This statement immediately backfired. He's panicking. There's definitely something wrong. Dig, everyone. Not long after, resourceful netizens really found evidence of his tax evasion over the past few years. Mr. Lee had earned a lot of money but spent it extravagantly and was also addicted to gambling. Recently, he even borrowed money to buy a villa. From the outside, it looked glamorous, but in reality, he had very little money left. Now, he was in a bind. He had to pay a huge amount of back taxes and was facing simultaneous demands for refunds from students. Not long after, he went bankrupt. Troubles piled up. Mr. Lee, who was once very famous online and recognized by many people on the street, now had rotten eggs thrown at him every time he appeared. He became a rat fleeing across the street, everyone wanting to hit him. His life in hiding was extremely miserable. With no way out, he finally reluctantly posted an apology. "I admit that I was foolish and harassed Sue, but I have realized my mistakes. I want to apologize to her. Everyone has the right to correct their mistakes. I hope netizens will give me a chance." Would netizens easily let it go? Because he realized his mistake. Clearly, he just wants to keep making money. That's why he's pretending to be remorseful. I don't see him regretting harassing Sue at all, only regretting that he didn't realize she was live streaming. Stop trying to smooth talk online, just looking at your face makes me sick. I looked at Mr. Lee's apology post, my emotions mixed. I had waited too long for this apology. But with the severe impact of this scandal, not long after, he was stripped of his teaching license and banned from all social media platforms. The last time a reporter caught sight of him, his hair had turned white, looking as if he had aged a decade. As soon as he saw the camera, he hastily tried to avoid it, his face filled with panic. My adoptive mother was also heavily affected by this incident. She was a very vain person, always showing off her luxurious house and designer bags online, and pretending to be a good mother who dearly loved her adopted daughter. She frequently interacted with netizens, occasionally even organizing giveaways. Normally, her posts were full of praise. In my next life, I must be reborn as Mrs. Chen's daughter. Thank you, Mrs. Chen, for opening my eyes. You are truly beautiful and kind. Mrs. Chen, do you adopt more daughters? These words greatly flattered her ego. But this time, her true face was exposed on the live stream. From a gentle mother, she transformed into a cold person, calmly standing by and watching me being harassed by Mr. Lee. Netizens were extremely enraged. Thought she treated her adopted daughter so well? Turns out it was all an act. I even thought Mrs. Chen genuinely loved Sue, who knew it was all fake. If she's such a good actress, why doesn't she go into showbiz? Indeed, rich people are never good. Heavily criticized, she hastily spoke up to clarify. Sue had a history of lying, so I didn't believe her. After rewatching the video online, I realized I had misunderstood her. I feel very regretful. But netizens were no longer fooled. I remember you once said, "How can Sue compare to my biological daughter?" Clearly, you knew the girl was being bullied, but you didn't care. Don't think everyone is as stupid as you think. Thank goodness Sue live streamed. Otherwise, we would have been tricked by you too. Even now, you're still slandering the girl. You hired tutors for her just to show off. How deceitful and fake. I'm unfollowing. As the scandal grew larger, the stock of my adoptive father's company was also affected. Knowing that her online reputation had collapsed, my adoptive mother hastily deleted her social media account. But I understood clearly that even if they left social media, the Chen family would still live as comfortably as before. This was merely a small ripple on their path paved with flowers. In my previous life, the Chen family ruined my entire life, so my counterattack wouldn't stop here. Sue, are you going back to the Chen family's house? After that day's argument with my adoptive mother, I had moved in with my best friend. She was my friend from the orphanage and was later adopted by a good family. Seeing me start to pack my bags, she immediately asked. I nodded. After such a relaxed period, it was time to return and confront the Chen family. In the past few days, I hadn't gone to school, only requesting leave from my homeroom teacher. My teacher, aware of the online commotion, quickly agreed. Actually, I've wanted to say this for a long time. You're too diligent. You're the smartest student I've ever met. As long as you maintain your form, getting into Tsinghua or Peking University is not difficult. But you're too stressed. I truly worry about when you'll collapse. It's good to relax outside a bit. At my best friend's house, I watched TV, played games, and read novels. Life had never been so comfortable. Ever since I ranked first in the city's high school entrance exam, the Chen family adopted me. They always used concern as an excuse to make me study day and night. 365 days a year, I never had a single day off. Even when I was sick with a high fever, I had to read books while on an IV drip. It was truly exhausting. The days at my best friend's house, this was what real human life felt like, but I still had to go back. The Chen family was determined to help Nancy steal others' fortunes. If I didn't go back, they would find a new victim. I would escape the fire pit, but someone else would be pushed into it. Nancy could still use the jade pendant to steal others' intelligence, pass prestigious exams, lead a successful life, and become a celebrated film empress. I couldn't let the Chen family continue to harm people, nor did I want them to rely on that jade pendant to live a life of luxury anymore. This time, I was going back to expose their plot, find that jade pendant, and destroy it. I quickly packed my bags, my best friend sighed. I just told my friends you were here. With the Chen family's capabilities, they'll probably find this place soon. She looked at me, her eyes full of reluctance. I really don't want you to go, but I know you're a determined person. This time, you definitely have something you want to do. As your best friend, I can only wish you success. If you're tired, just come to my house. My parents are very fond of you. My house will always be your strongest shelter. Those words filled my heart with an unusual warmth. At lunchtime, my best friend took me to eat vermicelli at a small vermicelli shop. There, I unexpectedly met someone. For some reason, the owner of the vermicelli shop gave me a strange sense of familiarity. I asked my best friend, "Do you know this shop owner?" She nodded. Seeing my curiosity, she said, "Of course I do. He lives in the same apartment complex as me." To be honest, Mr. Bach has been very unlucky. My parents told me that he used to be very wealthy, but then one day, he suddenly went bankrupt. After that, he tried to start over, but he never got back on his feet and accumulated a lot of debt. Now, he can only open a small vermicelli shop to make a living. I often come to eat here to support him. I remembered my adoptive father's closest friend, also named Mr. Bach. He was once a successful businessman until my adoptive father used the jade pendant to steal his fortune, specifically, his assets and career. From then on, my adoptive father's business prospered even more, while Mr. Bach went bankrupt and never recovered. Could it be such a coincidence? One of the victims of the Chen family's jade pendant, and I meet him right here. My best friend continued, "Luckily, Mr. Lai's son, Bach, is very talented and filial. When he succeeds later, his parents won't have to suffer as much. He's also very well behaved. He comes to help his parents at the shop every holiday." Just then, a teenager in a school uniform brought the drinks we had just ordered. He walked away immediately. My best friend immediately winked at me. "So, handsome, right?" The teenager was tall, with sharp, picturesque features. He was indeed very handsome. I asked, "What's the full name of that Mr. Lai?" "Bach," my best friend said, taking a sip of her soft drink, asking curiously, "Why are you asking?" I just answered nonchalantly, just idly curious. Finally, I remembered where I had met Mr. Bach before. That year, he came to borrow money from my adoptive parents. As soon as he opened his mouth, they coldly refused him. I was also present that day. At the time, I was very surprised. Why would my adoptive parents say they had no spare money to help? Clearly, just the day before, my adoptive father had bought a watch worth 3 million yuan. Seeing my suspicion, my adoptive parents quickly explained, "It's not that we don't want to help, but he's addicted to gambling. If he had money, he would definitely gamble it away." At that moment, I believed them. But now, thinking back, I only see how terrifying my adoptive parents were. They were truly too cruel. Suddenly, a voice rang out from behind me. "Sue, so you're here." Just as we finished our vermicelli, my adoptive parents' family found us. Mrs. Chen touched my face, her eyes filled with sorrow. "Sue, you've gotten thinner." Before I could even open my mouth, my best friend scoffed. "Thinner? Not at all. These past few days, Sue has been eating well and sleeping soundly at my house. She hasn't had to study day and night, nor has she been harassed by anyone. Her mood is excellent. She's even gained a little weight. Mrs. Chen, you're starting to lie again." My adoptive mother's expression shifted slightly. She probably still remembered clearly when I accused Mr. Li of harassment, and she flat out denied it, causing me to be severely attacked online. Her face fell, but she quickly regained her gentle demeanor. "Sue, are you still angry with Mom? Mom truly didn't know Mr. Li would do that to you. If I had known, I would definitely have demanded justice for you." My adoptive mother wiped away tears, her voice choked. "That day, I misspoke. It was only because you doubted my love for you that I got angry and said those words. Can you forgive me?" She looked at me with eager anticipation. Her acting was truly excellent. No wonder Nancy could win the Best Actress award in my previous life. It must be hereditary from her. My adoptive father also spoke up. "Sue, it's true your mother said things she shouldn't have. Dad has already scolded her. But you know, your mother never had any ill intentions towards you. You know best how we've treated you all these years." Nancy also put on a pitiful act. "That's right, sister. Mom even cares about you more than she cares about me. Didn't she hire so many of the best tutors to teach you? Recently, Mom has been worried about you suffering outside, not eating or sleeping well. You can't resent her just for one sentence, can you?" I carefully observed my adoptive mother's face. She looked haggard, her eyes full of wrinkles, but I didn't believe a single word from Nancy's mouth. My adoptive mother was like this partly because she was cursed by netizens, and partly because she was afraid I, the fat pig they had painstakingly raised, would run away. I pretended to be incredulous. "Really? Mom, do you truly love me?" All three of them nodded simultaneously. Of course, come home with us. We're really worried about you being out alone. I lowered my head, my voice a little hesitant. Actually, I've missed everyone a lot these past few days, but I was afraid Mom wouldn't like me or wouldn't want me to come back. I'm sorry for making everyone worried. My adoptive father laughed it off. It's all right, we're a family. As soon as they saw signs of my compromise, all three of them immediately relaxed. In their eyes, a hint of disdain flashed. Clearly, they were thinking amongst themselves. So easy to trick. She's just a stupid bookworm after all. My best friend asked worriedly, Sue, do you really want to go back? I nodded. Only by going back can I exact my revenge. I gently held her hand, reassuring her. Don't worry, my adoptive parents and sister love me very much. It was just a misunderstanding. Once clarified, everything will be fine. My best friend sighed, gently squeezing my pinky finger and whispered, I hope this time you achieve what you wish for. I thought the Chen family's goal was simply to bring me home. I never expected them to be even greedier than I imagined, even more malicious. They weren't in a hurry to take me back right away. Instead, my adoptive father went to find his old friend, Mr. Bach. After a few polite greetings, he got straight to the point. Mr. Lai, I heard your son, Bach, is an excellent student. He's in his senior year of high school, isn't he? I see him helping you at the shop often. Doesn't that affect his studies? Mr. Bach sighed. The boy is very understanding. I don't want him to help, but he insists. It's my incompetence that makes him suffer. My adoptive father pondered for a moment, then said, My family also has 2 children taking the college entrance exam this year. I've hired the best tutor for them. How about this? Let Bach stay at my house. Tutoring 2 or 3 children is all the same. And for your vermicelli shop, I'll hire someone to help you. Mr. Bach hesitated for a moment but still wavered. Wouldn't that be too much trouble for you? My adoptive father smiled kindly. No trouble at all. Friends help each other. Mr. Bach was incredibly grateful and wanted to invite them to eat vermicelli. My adoptive parents politely refused, but I still saw the disgust in their eyes. I immediately understood their true intention. The Chen family feared I might betray them, so they planned to find another, study God, as a backup. That replacement was Mr. Bach's only son, Bach. Mr. Bach was truly too pitiful. Previously, my adoptive father stole all his assets, and now his son was about to become the next sacrifice. How tragic! He was being sold out, yet he was still grateful to my adoptive parents. I clenched my fists. I absolutely had to find an opportunity to warn Bach not to fall into the Chen family's trap. And so, Bach and I were brought back to the Chen family's house. After returning, they treated me as well as before. Perhaps fearing I still held grudges, they no longer pressured me with intense studies as they used to. This gave me more time to do other things, such as searching for the Chen family's ancestral jade pendant. After a period of observation, I discovered that my adoptive father didn't carry the jade pendant with him. He must have been afraid of losing it or having it stolen. I also noticed that every time my adoptive father returned home from work, the first place he went was always his study. I guess there was an 80–90% chance that the jade pendant was hidden in the study. That was undoubtedly why he rushed into the study every day after work to check if it was still there. The study door was always locked, and surveillance cameras were installed inside. To steal the jade pendant, a perfect plan was needed. Once again, seeing my adoptive father enter the study, I quickly withdrew my gaze. At that very moment, I saw a nearby door quietly close. It was Bach's room. Was he also observing my adoptive father, or was it just a coincidence? In the evening, the family dinner, which used to consist only of Nancy, my adoptive parents, and me, now included Bach. My adoptive mother picked up a piece of garlic crab and placed it on his plate. Bach, I heard your father say you like this dish. This is what I specifically asked the chef to make for you. Bach was a little surprised. Thank you, Auntie. My adoptive father smiled and said, Why thank us? You're being too polite. Your father and I are close friends, and you're such a well-behaved and understanding young man. We consider you like our own son. My adoptive mother gently added, That's right, just consider this your home. We're all family, don't be so formal. Bach said touched, Uncle and Auntie are too good to me. I truly don't know how to repay you. My adoptive mother smiled gently. Just study hard and get into a good university, and your parents and we will all be at ease. Bach nodded. I will definitely try my best not to disappoint everyone. He continued, or perhaps I could tutor Nancy as well so she can also get into a good university. I originally thought Nancy would refuse. She hated studying the most, and making her study was like asking her to die. But to my surprise, Nancy didn't refuse. Instead, she feigned concern. "Will that affect your studies, Brother Bach?" Bach chuckled faintly. "Not at all. Your studies are as important as mine." Nancy's cheeks flushed slightly. Before I could think further, my adoptive father interrupted. "All right, Nancy, don't bother Bach with his studies." I saw a flicker of displeasure in my adoptive parents' eyes. I understood what they were worried about. Bach was very handsome. When he wasn't smiling, he was like the moon in the sky, cool and pristine like jade. When he smiled, he was gentle like melting spring snow. Added to his excellent academic performance, it was too difficult for Nancy not to be attracted to him. And what my adoptive mother feared most was Nancy developing feelings for Bach. If their plan to steal my intelligence failed, they would certainly target Bach. But if Nancy truly loved him, would she agree to steal Bach's brain, turning him into a fool? Nancy immediately pouted at her adoptive parents. "Mom, Dad, Brother Bach said it's fine. Don't worry too much. Don't you want to see your daughter try hard to study?" My adoptive parents knew Nancy's personality well. The more they forbade her, the more she wanted to do it. They sighed and said, "In that case, Bach, please help Nancy." As they said this, they glanced at me. I understood their implication. They were thinking, Sue will willingly offer her intelligence to Nancy anyway. If that happens, we won't need Bach anymore. The conversation between my adoptive parents and Bach continued. Bach looked at Nancy, his tone gentle. "Nancy just loves to play, but she's actually very intelligent." Nancy's cheeks grew even redder. I stared at Bach. I had lived with Nancy for 3 years and knew very well that she only knew how to party and had no academic ability whatsoever. Was Bach saying this to curry favor with the Chen family, or did he have another motive? He had a cool, detached demeanor, not like a pragmatic person, so it could only be the latter. Suddenly, I felt no need to worry that Bach would be tricked by the Chen family. He wasn't someone easily exploited. On the contrary, it was the Chen family who should be worried. They had brought a young wolf into their home. Time passed, and the college entrance exam drew near. The relationship between the Chen family and me returned to normal, as if no conflict had ever occurred. As for me, I had finally devised a perfect plan to reclaim their jade pendant. Only 1 week remained until the college entrance exam. Nancy, who was always clinging to Bach, suddenly came to find me. She handed me a sparkling, shiny pink bracelet. "This is a good luck charm I specifically got from the temple for you, sister. Wear it on the day of the college entrance exam, and you'll definitely get good results." I took it, gently saying, "Thank you." Historically, whenever Nancy sought me out, it was certainly because she needed a favor, and this time was no exception. I looked at her, quietly awaiting her next sentence. Sure enough, in the very next second, she said, "Sister, you're so lucky, your grades are always at the top. If only my brain could be half as smart as yours, how great that would be. Sister, would you be willing to give me your smart brain?" My heart skipped a beat. Wasn't this the exact phrase she used in my previous life to steal my intelligence? I clearly remembered that in my past life, this conversation took place on the morning of the college entrance exam. But this time, Nancy acted earlier. The previous conflict between my adoptive mother and me must have made her wary. She feared I wouldn't be as obedient as before, so she decided to steal my intelligence sooner. If I refused, she would still have time to prepare a countermeasure. I calmly took a sip of milk, using the very same words I had spoken in my previous life. "It's not something you can just give, even if you want to." Nancy immediately hugged my arm, pouting, "You just need to answer yes or no, that's all." In my previous life, I had unconsciously answered, yes. From then on, she stole my intelligence, became the top scorer in the college exam, and relying on the exceptional comprehension abilities my brain provided, she became an outstanding actress, eventually winning the Best Actress award. As for me, I became a fool, had dirty water thrown at me by the Chen family and Mr. Li, was kicked out of the house, and ultimately could only work odd jobs in a small diner, oppressed by colleagues and scorned by society. Then on a normal winter night, I was hit by a car and died silently with no one knowing. I lowered my eyes, my fingernails digging deep into my palms. Seeing that I didn't answer for a long time, Nancy began to get impatient. "Sister, don't you agree?" I hid my emotions, lightly smiling and gently saying, "Of course, I'm willing to share half of the homework I haven't finished with you." Nancy's face immediately darkened. "Sister, I'm talking seriously." I also smiled. "I'm also talking seriously. A brain isn't something that can be shared. Instead of daydreaming, you might as well do a few more practice tests. With that, I stood up. All right, I'm going to study. I walked out of the living room neither fast nor slow, but I could still feel Nancy's disappointed gaze behind me. I subtly curled my lips. Nancy, I'm no longer the fool you people can manipulate. As I rounded the corner of the hallway, I unexpectedly saw Bach. He frowned, his gaze seeming to evaluate me. I immediately wiped the smile off my face, glanced at him, then returned to my room. That night, an uninvited guest came to my room. It was none other than Bach. I quietly watched him. Since Bach came to the Chen family's house, we rarely communicated. Today, he took the initiative to find me, so there must be something. I looked at him, my eyes somewhat wary. What are you doing here? Over the past few months, I had seen Nancy and Bach grow closer, even seeming inseparable. Nancy was a conceited person, always boasting about my house. But when it came to Bach, she always bragged that he was very obedient to her. Bach was a deep and unpredictable person. Throughout this time, apart from being close to Nancy, he hadn't made any other moves. I still hadn't figured out his purpose in approaching Nancy. Although slightly on guard, I still smiled and poured him a glass of water. Just say whatever's on your mind. Bach just nonchalantly said, Sue, for your own good, the next time Nancy mentions taking your brain, you must refuse. So he came here to warn me. My eyes softened, letting go of some of my wariness. After saying that, Bach turned to leave. Watching his retreating back, I suddenly hesitated. Just as he was about to step out the door, I made a decision. I called out, Bach, let's cooperate. He stopped. I continued, you've been close to Nancy for so long to find out the real reason why your family went bankrupt, right? Just now, Bach reminded me not to let Nancy take my intelligence. I immediately guessed his motive. He already knew his family's bankruptcy was related to the Chen family. He came here to find the truth. Bach turned around, his eyes deep as he looked at me. I lightly patted the chair beside me, gesturing for him to sit down. What information have you found? We can exchange information and then cooperate. Bach still hesitated, as if evaluating whether I was trustworthy. I wasn't in a hurry. I smiled and said, if we're cooperating, we need to be sincere. I'll show you some sincerity. I didn't know what Bach had investigated, but one thing I could be sure of. The Chen family's cause for his family's bankruptcy all stemmed from the jade pendant. From the fact that Bach specifically reminded me not to let Nancy steal my intelligence, I could tell he was a man of principles. Even though we had no relationship, he could have completely ignored me, yet he still chose to give me a warning. He was cold, but not evil. I didn't need to worry that he would betray me. It seemed that Bach hadn't yet discovered the existence of the jade pendant. I continued, now it's your turn. Bach took a sip of plain water, seemingly having made up his mind. You guessed correctly. I came to the Chen family's house to investigate the reason for my family's bankruptcy. Bach recounted that when he was young, the Lai family and the Chen family used to interact. At that time, his father, Mr. Lai Bach, was a successful businessman, while Mr. Chen was constantly failing, even having to borrow money from his father. His father once said frankly that Mr. Chen didn't have a good business mind and should ideally find a stable job. But then, suddenly, everything changed. Mr. Chen seemed to have a sudden enlightenment. His business soared like a kite in the wind. Meanwhile, his father, who had always been successful in the business world, faced repeated failures and eventually went bankrupt. After that, he tried many ways to recover but failed every time. Once he even mocked himself. Did Mr. Chen ask me if I was willing to share my business talent with him, and I, wanting to help a friend, unconsciously said yes, words spoken unintentionally, but heard with intent. At that time, although Bach was young, he remembered his father's words. Later, his father went to borrow money from the Chen family but was flat out refused. He could only give a bitter laugh. I misjudged him. I helped him when he was in need, but when he became prosperous, he kicked me out without mercy. Bach continued, I never believed Mr. Chen was a good person, and even less that he adopted me out of kindness. He definitely had another motive, but I also wanted to clarify the truth of that year's bankruptcy, which is why I agreed to come back with them. Knowing that my adoptive parents were cunning foxes, Bach decided to approach Nancy to find out the truth. Nancy was selfish. Although she liked Bach, she still considered him a backup plan and didn't reveal the secret of the jade pendant. Regarding the absolute refusal to let Nancy take his intelligence, Bach had also heard it from her own mouth once when she was drunk. He finished speaking and looked at me, as if signaling it was my turn. I didn't hide anything, clearly explaining the function of the jade pendant and where it was hidden. After listening, Bach sneered, "So we're both Nancy's backup plans." His eyes darkened. "They killed my father, now they want to harm me too. This entire family is truly despicable." He clenched his fist. "We must destroy that jade pendant." But right after, he frowned. "The study door is locked and there are surveillance cameras inside, and the jade pendant's exact hiding spot isn't clear. Getting it won't be easy." I smiled. "I have a plan." I told him the details. Bach immediately understood. "All right, then I'll cooperate well with you when the time comes." From that day on, we shared a secret and became allies. In the following days, Nancy continuously brought up the matter of sharing my brain, but each time I refused. The closer it got to the college entrance exam, the more anxious the Chen family became. When Nancy brought it up again, I continued to refuse. This time, my adoptive father spoke up. "Sue, just agree to Nancy. She just wants to share your good luck and feel a bit more at ease before the exam." Nancy immediately chimed in. "That's right, sister, but you have to truly agree for it to work." I looked at them, smiling faintly. "I will agree. I solemnly said to my adoptive parents, there are no shortcuts in this world. Effort is the only path. Nancy doesn't understand this. Do Mom and Dad not understand either?" As I spoke, I took out a prepared t-shirt. On the shirt were 8 large characters. "Face reality, stop daydreaming, abandon illusions." Seeing the t-shirt, Bach's lips subtly curved into an indiscernible smile, while the Chen family's faces were not so pleasant, especially Nancy's. "Sister, what do you mean?" I calmly replied. "Nancy, instead of wasting time clinging to me and thinking about fanciful things, why don't you focus on your homework?" With that, I tossed the t-shirt into her hands. "Next time, if you fantasize about getting my intelligence to do well on the exam, look at these 8 words." Nancy furiously threw the t-shirt back at me. "Who wants your old shirt?" Seeing that she couldn't get my intelligence, Nancy started to target Bach. But how could Bach agree? Every time she opened her mouth, he would immediately pull out a practice test. "Nancy, perhaps I should teach you to do homework instead." He looked as if he genuinely wanted to help her. Nancy was driven crazy with impatience but couldn't get angry with him. Up until the day before the college entrance exam, she still couldn't sway me or Bach. The Chen family had also thought about finding someone else besides us to steal their intelligence, but everyone close to Nancy was the type who only knew how to party and indulge, and each member of the Chen family could only steal another's fortune once. Nancy found those brains not intelligent enough and didn't want to waste this sole opportunity. On the morning of the college entrance exam, Bach and I, refreshed and invigorated, set off for the exam. The Chen family's faces were all unpleasant, especially Nancy's. The dark circles under her eyes were prominent. She must have been up all night. They couldn't have imagined that after years of cultivating 2 backup plans, they ended up with neither. Before entering the exam hall, Nancy still didn't give up, asking me and Bach once more, "Are you too willing to give me your intelligence?" Bach regretfully shook his head and softly sighed. "What a shame, the exam is about to start. Otherwise, I could teach you a few more lessons." Seeing his demeanor, Nancy's face turned as black as coal. She glared at him resentfully, then turned and walked away. As for me, who had been trying to hold back my laughter, I finally couldn't anymore and burst out laughing. Bach looked at me and smiled. "Sue, good luck." I smiled back. "You too." I walked into the exam room, picked up my pen. This time my mind was no longer blank, everything was clear. I easily solved each question. At that very moment, I knew I had truly changed my fate. Tears almost fell from my eyes due to joy. In my previous life, I had countless nightmares, dreaming that I couldn't answer a single question in the college entrance exam and ended up submitting a blank paper. In my dream, I would be drenched in cold sweat, desperate and helpless. Even after being reborn, I still frequently dreamt of those scenes, but this time, the nightmare that had lasted for 2 lifetimes finally ended. The college entrance exam results were announced. I was the top scorer in the city's natural sciences stream, ranking 3rd in the entire province. Bach was just 1 point behind me, ranking immediately after me. As for Nancy, she was near the bottom of her class, which was not surprising at all. Throughout her 3 years of high school, she had only known how to party and had never studied seriously for a single day. When the scores were announced, I was showered with countless praises. For a moment, I felt everything was incredibly unfamiliar because, in my previous life, at this very time, I had been reviled by tens of thousands of people. But thankfully, all of that was over. Given another chance at life, I had truly changed my own destiny. Upon receiving our admission notices, Bach and I both beamed with bright smiles, while no one in the Chen family could manage a smile. Why couldn't Nancy ultimately get such a smart brain? During that time, many reporters came to interview. They asked my adoptive parents how they had raised such an excellent adopted daughter. They also asked about Bach, who was sponsored by the Chen family and also achieved very high results. Nancy stood in the corner, watching, her eyes red with envy. All this fame should have belonged to her. It was all because these two ungrateful adopted children wouldn't offer their intelligence to her. The reporters, while chatting with my adoptive parents, didn't forget to mention Nancy. Mr. and Mrs. Chen, while caring for Sue, don't forget your biological daughter. We heard Nancy's results weren't very good. Not just not good, but abysmal. Her total score for all subjects combined wasn't even 3 digits. Some netizens even mocked Nancy. She's truly a genius. A normal person couldn't possibly score so low. My adoptive parents, despite their discomfort, still forced a smile. We will pay more attention to her. Afterwards, to avoid reporters, my adoptive mother took Nancy on a relaxing trip. Only my adoptive father remained at home. The day they left, Bach and I exchanged a quiet glance. It was time to act. That day, as usual, my adoptive father rushed home from work, wanting to check if the ancestral jade pendant was still there. In truth, he knew very well that the carefully hidden jade would not be easily lost. But for years, his success had depended on this jade, and only by seeing it with his own eyes could he be at ease. From a distance, he saw smoke rising from the villa. His heart sank to the bottom of a ravine, and he immediately rushed towards the villa. When he arrived, he saw Bach and me standing at the door. "Why is it on fire?" I pretended to be panicked. "Just now, someone broke into the study." Bach and I discovered him, and he immediately set fire to it and fled. My adoptive father's face immediately changed. He lunged towards the door. "This is bad." Bach and I quickly tried to stop him. "Don't go in, the fire is too big, uncle. You'll be in mortal danger." But my adoptive father was very strong. He forcefully pushed us away, roaring, "Get out, don't stop me. What do you two know?" He stumbled into the villa. Less than 5 minutes later, he ran out, his hair singed, clothes torn, and skin covered in patchy burns. But he seemed not to feel any pain. On his face was a maniacal smile. "Thank goodness it's still here." I looked down and saw he was clutching a transparent jade pendant in his hand. Bach and I exchanged glances. The plan had succeeded. My plan to steal the jade pendant was very simple. If it was difficult to get it from the study, then why not let my adoptive father bring it out himself? Therefore, I chose a time when my adoptive mother and Nancy were not home, and the housekeeper had also left to care for her sick grandchild. Bach and I created this fire. I signaled Bach. He immediately understood and swung a wooden stick, hitting my adoptive father hard on the back of his head. Before he passed out, he finally realized he had fallen into a trap, but it was too late. Everything went even more smoothly than we had imagined, as if even heaven was helping us. I looked at my adoptive father lying on the ground, feeling a bit surreal. Bach knelt down, wanting to take the jade pendant from his hand. Even though he was unconscious, my adoptive father still clutched the jade tightly, as if it were the only treasure in the world. It took a lot of effort for Bach to pry it loose. "We succeeded," he said, smiling. Then he carefully examined the jade. But gradually his expression changed, and his eyes revealed a strange, feverish intensity. "Sue, the fault isn't with the jade, but with those who misused it. How about we keep it?" Bach clenched the jade, and an unusual possessiveness began to appear on his usually calm face. I was startled. "This isn't good. This jade has the power to bewitch people. Bach is also its victim." Given his personality, he wouldn't normally have such thoughts of keeping it. I smiled, speaking softly. "All right then, let your father regain his business abilities first." Bach's wary gaze gradually relaxed. "I thought you wouldn't agree." I chuckled lightly. "Why not? Our enemy is the Chen family, not this jade." Bach also laughed, continuing to fondle the jade in his hand. The moment he let down his guard, I swung the stick and hit him hard on the back of his head. Before falling, Bach's eyes widened, looking at me with utter disbelief. "The Chen family is truly despicable, but this jade pendant is also an evil artifact that sows disaster. It incites greed and gives rise to evil. As one of its victims, I cannot allow it to continue existing in this world. Only when it is destroyed will people like me and Mr. Bach cease to appear." I took the jade from Bach's hand. Just as I was about to throw it to the ground, I suddenly saw a face appear on the jade. That face, indistinguishable as male or female, was smiling at me. Although no sound was emitted, I could clearly hear a voice in my head. Use me, use me. Glory and riches are within your grasp. I felt as if I was being drawn into a hallucination. Images of a glorious future that the jade could bring immediately appeared in my mind. My thoughts were almost completely dominated by it, but as my gaze swept past Bach, I suddenly regained some consciousness. Bach had also been bewitched like this just now, hadn't he? Realizing that, I immediately closed my eyes tightly, no longer looking at the jade. But that wasn't enough. I bit down hard on my tongue. The pain temporarily sobered me, allowing me to regain control of my body. I raised my hand again, wanting to smash the jade. But at that very moment, a sharp voice echoed in my head. Use me, you won't regret it. The voice became so sharp it was deafening, almost making me lose the ability to think. My hand froze for an instant, but immediately I exerted all my strength and forcefully threw the jade to the ground. Get lost. Without you, I'll still live a good life. Along with those words, the jade pendant shattered into pieces. When my adoptive father regained consciousness, he happened to witness that scene. His face twisted with fury. He stumbled to his feet, reeling and lunged towards me as if wanting to risk his life. But with his injuries, he was no match for me. I picked up the stick again and knocked him unconscious. My gaze fell upon the shattered pieces of the jade pendant on the ground. Even though it was broken, it still shimmered transparently, reflecting strange rays of light under the sun. I worried that even shattered, the jade might still have the power to bewitch people. So I picked up a rock and used all my strength to smash each fragment. At this moment, a mournful wail, like a desperate scream, resounded in my head. No, you can't treat me like this. You're a monster. They all want to curry favor with me. Only you, only you. I ignored it, continuing to smash forcefully until the jade was ground into powder. Only then did the voice in my head completely disappear. I knew that this time, it was truly dead, no longer able to harm anyone. Not long after, Bach woke up. He had regained his sanity, his face filled with remorse. I'm sorry, I was bewitched by it just now. I smiled. It's all right. It's good that the problem is resolved. He can't be blamed for this. Even I almost fell into the jade's trap. When my adoptive father woke up, he immediately called the police. He accused us of intentionally setting the fire, severely injuring him, and stealing his treasure. But Bach and I stood firm with our statement. The arsonist was a thief. We only knocked my adoptive father unconscious because he wanted to rush into the raging fire, despite the danger, to save his paintings and calligraphy. As for the jade pendant, he dropped it himself and it shattered into pieces. Out of hatred for the jade, we ground it into powder. If we were greedy for your treasure, uncle, why would we destroy it? But my adoptive father wailed in despair. That's not true, don't let them trick you. The police officer calmly reassured him. Mr. Chen, please calm down. According to our investigation, Sue and Bach's statements completely match the evidence. There truly was a thief who broke into your house and set fire to it. My adoptive father was stunned. There really was a thief. Of course there was. In my previous life, this thief was caught 3 years later. He had a habit of buying newspapers every day at the newsstand at the end of the street. That time, Bach and I also went to the newsstand to buy magazines and casually talked about how my adoptive father's study contained treasures and that no one was home today. He happened to overhear. His heart was stirred. That day, after Bach and I left, he snuck in to steal. The only thing beyond his expectation was that we returned earlier than anticipated. Caught red-handed, he panicked, set fire to the place, and fled. My adoptive father was still unconvinced. But that jade, they stole it from my hand and smashed it. The police officer said coolly, Mr. Chen, everything requires evidence. Sue and Bach have no motive for the crime. Moreover, according to our investigation, both of these young people have excellent academic records. People with such character and ability have no reason to steal your treasures. No matter what my adoptive father said, the police didn't believe him. Just like in my previous life, no matter how I explained, no one believed me. How ridiculous. As for my adoptive mother, after learning the jade pendant had been destroyed, she immediately fainted. Perhaps she realized that her days of wealth and luxury were about to end. The case quickly closed. Bach and I completely withdrew. After the jade was destroyed, all the fortunes that the Chen family had stolen returned to their original owners. Not long after, the Chen family went bankrupt. My adoptive father was severely ill and had no money for treatment, living in pain day and night. My adoptive mother, who had lived in luxury for half her life, now had to work for a living. She was so tired that she accidentally knocked over a bucket of dirty water. Her face, once meticulously cared for, also became haggard and full of worry. Could this be considered karma? As for Nancy, who was used to living in luxury and couldn't endure hardship, she ran away with a man rumored to be wealthy. My adoptive mother reported it to the police, but to this day, there has been no news of her. I left the Chen family's house and returned to my true name, Sue. As for Mr. Bach, the way he became wealthy this time was truly simple. He bought a lottery ticket and won the jackpot of 300 million yuan. Perhaps this was the money he should have earned if his fortune hadn't been stolen by my adoptive father. Bach gave me 6 million yuan. If it weren't for you, my father couldn't have regained what belonged to him so smoothly. I also needed the money, so I accepted it without formality. 2 months later, we coincidentally met at the entrance of the university. Bach looked at me and smiled. Let's move forward together. In this life, whether it's me or Bach, we will both have a bright future.